Hey everyone! If you enjoyed this video, the full version is available on Patreon. I'll be uploading all my content there going forward.
Chapter 1. Who are you? Ah? So I was born in the wrong child? Is this your home? Sorry, shall I go then? Can I take my body away too? Alligato. It's so dark, where is this? The dark, narrow space was wet everywhere. Gradually, Yunmu's consciousness gradually recovered. So I'm, in the womb. Completely enclosed space, difficult to breathe. Memories float in the brain like a tide, like a marquee. Conversations were gradually recalled. Monkey D. Luffy, before he was born, had an accident. Dying in the belly. When she was about to give birth, Yunmu entered the womb. A voice came from the subconscious, 1 and 2 children will die. So Straw Hat Luffy was tricked by him. In a flash of golden light, Luffy's baby body disappeared. That is to say, I have traveled through time and will be born instead of Monkey D. Luffy. And he's still wearing it. Good guy, isn't this Tianhu's start? Who is Luffy? The harem king and background king of the sea. Grandpa Monkey D. Garp, the most decorated warrior in the Valley of the Gods, is known as the marine hero by the world. His father, Monkey D. Dragon, is the leader of the revolutionary army that opposes the celestial dragons and is famous. Master Pluton, the deputy captain of the pirate king's ship, has amazing combat power. It's just that the teaching is not good. Rayleigh is a mediocre teacher and is misleading people. As for the rest of the background, second grandmother Buddha Sengoku, second uncle Admiral Aokiji, uncle Porisalino, Aunt Ivankov. Forget it, let's not mention it. This is the beginning. Why do you want to be a pirate? Just be a second generation. Yunmu just thought of this. The system prompt sounds. Great host, moving system serves you. Ah? Yunmu was stunned for a second. Not only the background king, I also have the system? The old lady got under the covers. It made me laugh. Say your role. Introduction to system functions. Function, robbery the beauty of the story onto the ship and impress her, and then you can participate in the comic lottery, not limited to items, creatures, etc. Affiliated abilities, can integrate the overall strength of the crew, including devil fruit, combat effectiveness, physical fitness, etc. Read through the functions. Yunmu, no. Monkey D. Luffy is enlightened. Simply put, he still wants to be a pirate in the future, and then grab the drama beauties to get on the ship. So the question is, where is the drama beauty? No need to think about it, they must be among several major forces. Marines, pirates, the Revolutionary Army. The thought of these forces excited Luffy. You taste it carefully. Miss Bajin, Big Mom, Dodin, aren't these all women? So, take these things out and all that's left are beauties. Come on, let the storm come more violently. Do you want to open the newbie gift package? Open. Congratulations to host for gaining special abilities. Comprehension Heaven Defying. Comprehension Heaven Defying, your comprehension is raised to the Heaven Defying level, and the tactics you understand will receive critical hits. You have understood the laws of creation contained in yourself, you have had an epiphany, and you have realized the power of the full level of the waste and the Sunday. You soak in amniotic fluid, analyze the essence of reduced water, and realize from it that all water is impervious and the sea and rain are not afraid. Luffy was shocked. He turned around and found that the amniotic fluid was nothing. This horse riding, will I be invincible before I'm born? He glanced at the system and found that there was also a personal attribute column. Host, Monkey D. Luffy, your loved ones in this world have named you and cannot change it. Physique, 2 points. Mental strength, 3 points. Swordsmanship, 0 points. Armed color, none. Seeing and hearing color, none. Conquerors, unawakened. Special ability, comprehension heaven-defying. Skills, the power of the sun, invulnerability to all water. Combat strength, 0 points. 7-year-old child. Wow! Luffy knew it the moment it came out of his belly. Children are not necessarily forced out. He imitated the cries of ordinary children and looked around, and then... Damn it! Who is this beauty? Is she the mother I haven't seen in more than 1,000 episodes? Ah, this! I am starving. Luffy originally wanted to eat meat, but now he has no teeth. So I can only find my mother to deal with it. Gilyalu. When he was full, he was taken out of the house. What he didn't know was that he would see his mother less often. Time passed by silently. This year, Luffy is 7 years old. My mother has been missing for several years. Little Luffy helped the village chief with errands in the village, received a fruit reward, and then went to the back mountain. There was a gorilla here who was much larger than him. He looked at the fruit in Luffy's hand and drooled. Do you want to eat? Luffy asked. Hearing this, the gorilla actually nodded. If you beat me, I'll give you all the fruits. Luffy prepared himself. Then, the gorilla ran away. Luffy? He threw the fruit on the ground and chased it away. I haven't beaten you today, how dare you run? Rub 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 rub. As a result, before he could run very far, the gorilla that was escaping in front actually ran back towards him. Luffy was startled. Has it started? Roar. As a result, at this time, a huge roar came from the forest. Behind the gorilla, a brown bear covered in scars rushed towards this side. This giant bear has scarlet eyes and a forearm as long as Luffy, which shows how dangerous it is. As it rushed over, the gorilla rolled his eyes and fainted from fright. But the little man next to him smiled. Luffy suddenly rushed out, with armament haki lingering on his arms and fists. He jumped up from the stone, aimed his fist at the brown bear's belly. Rubber pistol. Bang sound. Luffy's little fist was so powerful that it sent the brown bear flying, and it didn't stop until it smashed 2 big rocks one after another. With this blow, the brown bear completely lost consciousness, his eyes turned white and he fainted. Then Monkey D. Garp heard the sound and came over, confused. Damn it, my grandson is already armed with S*X at the age of 7? Luffy, listen up, you are going to be the strongest marine in the future. On the belly of the brown bear, Garp sat here and said solemnly. I don't want it. I made an appointment with Shanks. I want to be a pirate. Luffy sat next to him and raised his head to retort. Hearing Luffy's death-seeking words, Garp angrily raised his iron fist of love, but Luffy was unmoved at all, and even his little fist was wrapped with armed colors. Garp couldn't believe it. You still want to hit Grandpa? Luffy, when you can't move, I'll hit you all over the head. Good guy, you are so filial. Seeing that Luffy didn't seem to be joking, Garp twitched the corner of his mouth and slowly lowered his fist. Luffy smiled proudly upon seeing this. I thought of the classic lines from the original world. I am the man who wants to be a pirate king. Luffy. Chapter 2. Time Flies System Panel. Host, Monkey D. Luffy. Age, 17 years old. Physical fitness, 7.2. Mental strength, 7.3. Swordsmanship, 6.9. Armed color, 5.0, intermediate. Knowledge, 5.0, intermediate. Conquerors, 4.0, intermediate. Special ability, comprehension heaven-defying. Skills, power of the sun, invulnerability to all water, and avoidance of vicious beasts. Combat power, 6.3 / Naval Headquarters Vice Admiral. At this time, the sky is blue, and Luffy is already rowing out to sea just like in the original world. To be honest, he didn't want to be a pirate. But if you think about it carefully, the devil fruit he ate can awaken Nika's form. The world government will never let him go. I've been chasing the fruit of God for 800 years. If I join Marine, wouldn't I be throwing myself into a trap? Luffy shook his head. So, when he eats that rubber fruit, he is destined to be a pirate for the rest of his life. As for why I didn't eat it then? He knows this thing is the fruit of God, but he can still resist eating it. How much self-control does he have? But if you think about it carefully, it may not be the only way to fight alone. If you go to the Revolutionary Army and become a prince, you can rob the entire ship. Go join Shanks and become a squad leader, you can also steal people. If nothing else, he goes to find his little crush Ace, and the two brothers rob people together. After thinking about it this way, I really have many escape routes. I have a profound background. Luffy grinned and said he should be the boss. Luffy threw the piece of meat he brought out into his mouth, stuffed his stomach, and paddled the boat vigorously. Then he saw a group of pirates looting merchant ships on the big ship facing him. This is the Alvida pirates. Luffy is very familiar with One Piece. The luxury merchant ship opposite was targeted by East Blue's famous pirates. Captain, Alvida, the reward is 5 million. On this side of the weakest sea East Blue, he is already a well-known figure. At this time, this fat, ugly woman was waving her fangs and laughing. Tell me, who is the most beautiful woman in East Blue? The pink-haired boy who was named was so frightened that he trembled all over. Yes, it's Lady Alvida. Very good. Ha 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 goose. Alvida smiled happily, but soon the smile froze on her face. She saw Luffy boarding the boat silently below, her eyes narrowed into slits. How did you manage to ignore me and climb up directly? I'm hungry. Let's get on the boat and eat. Are you a fool? What's your name? My name is Yoon. Luffy subconsciously spoke, but quickly changed his mind, Monkey D. Luffy. Good guy, I've been calling for 17 years but no one has come over. Can you abandon your thighs for the sake of dignity? The name Luffy represents countless backgrounds, so don't throw it away. As for the real name, it is used as a chicken spear in the pirate world, so I don't want it anymore. Monkey D. Luffy, never heard of it, are you also a pirate? When asking this question, Alvida glanced around, and after confirming that Luffy was alone, she immediately grinned, it's just you. I thought there was another boat of pirates coming. If you are wise, hurry up and get out, or else the boss will kill you about you. Tell me to get out? Okay, since you have no quality, then you can't blame me, you damn fat woman, watch me kill you. As soon as the words fell, everyone present was stunned. In the corner of the boat, a girl with yellow hair looked over, her eyes widened. And those pirates' jaws were opened so exaggeratedly that they almost fell to the ground. This guy, he actually dares to scold Lady Alvida. He must be tired of living. Quick, stay away, Lady Alvida is going to kill someone. A group of pirates were running around, hiding far away. Alvida gritted her teeth and her cheeks began to tremble with anger. You wanna die? She was so furious that she didn't want to hold back for a moment. Her bulky body, which weighed several hundred kilograms, jumped up, raised the mace in mid-air, and hit Luffy hard. Luffy looked calm, but a terrifying aura suddenly rose from his body. In an instant, the situation changes. With Luffy as the center, the invisible force swept wildly around, making the air roar. Conqueror's full halo is not conducive to pretending to beep. Then the intermediate armed color, Ning. Boom. With one punch, Alvida flew backwards, blood splattered in the air, and the punch almost penetrated her. How could? Plop. Before she finished speaking, her fat body fell directly into the sea, and her consciousness disappeared without knowing whether she was alive or dead. That's it. Luffy was a little disappointed, he thought this woman had a problem. Sure enough, in a place like East Blue, fighting small pirates with armed men is a dimensionality-reducing strike. After seeing this scene, the pirates were all dumbfounded. 1. Punched the captain away? This man is a monster, run! A group of pirates decisively gave up their supplies and jumped on the boat to escape. I was afraid that Luffy would punch him alone. In less than 30 seconds, dozens of pirates disappeared. Otherwise, it is true that people are forced out. Are you waiting here to die? Luffy squinted at Kirby. He is not like the original Luffy, who can be friends with someone who swears to be a marine admiral. People with different Taoist views do not work together, not to mention that this person is also the escape king, whom he despises the most. Don't kill me! I'm leaving now. Kirby was so frightened that he burst into tears and runny nose. He went to get a small boat from the merchant ship, rowed it and ran away. Luffy. Maybe letting him escape won't have any impact on me? Just as he was looking down upon him, Luffy suddenly frowned and turned around. He raised the corner of his mouth, and a rocket launcher shot in front of the yellow-haired girl. Ah! The girl screamed in fright and almost fainted. She was shocked for 2 or 3 seconds, then quickly hugged the valuable package in front of her and let Luffy hold her shoulders. Everyone else can run, but you can't. Nami was stunned. Ejection start? This man is a monster. I've been paying attention to you since just now. You're so sneaky. Are you a thief? Luffy smiled brightly. Nami shook his head with an awkward smile, his bright eyes showed a flattering smile, and his tone was soft and soft. Sir, I am just a little thief. I am not a threat. Can you please not kill me? While talking, she also showed her pride and wanted to use a beauty trap. Then make a choice. Luffy showed his signature smile, and at the same time, he protected his second brother with his armor to prevent the other brother from suddenly attacking him. Become my crew member, or die, which one do you choose? Are you letting me choose? Nami was very upset. But no matter how hard Luffy punched her, she had no chance of refusing and could only nod her head. Okay, I'll be your crew member, but you can't go back on your word. Luffy nodded, but suddenly froze. Not because I noticed anything, but because the reminder sounded in my mind. Ding! Host successfully robbed the crew, and the beauty in the plot was identified, Nami, the little thief cat. Congratulations to host for winning the comprehensive comic lottery *1. Do you want to hold a lottery? Smoke. The lottery begins. Chapter 3. A lottery box appeared in Luffy's mind. The categories that can be drawn are written on the list next to it. Items, white, creatures, black, skills, red, attributes, blue, special abilities, purple. 5 divisions. Soon, as the lottery box shook automatically, a red sphere was thrown out of it. It's a skill. The moment the light curtain disappeared in his mind, Luffy's long-lost ticker reappeared in his memory. He seemed to see countless fragments overlapping, and he was displaying his abilities in his memory. That ability seemed to be innate to him and could be used at will. Ding! Congratulations to host for gaining the space ability, 100-meter teleportation. 0v0 equals. Luffy's eyes lit up. Teleport 100 meters? It looks so awesome. Click on the introduction. 100-meter teleportation, upgradable range. Ignore obstacles within 100 meters and move as you wish. From 7 Dragon Ball teleportation. Skills are automatically optimized, no physical consumption, no mental consumption, unlimited teleportation. After reading the introduction, Luffy said he loved it so much. Teleport 100 meters, and there are also skill optimizations. Infinite teleportation. There's no need to say more about what this means, right? When he encounters someone he can't defeat, he can harass him indefinitely and run for his life continuously. Isn't he awesome? With just this skill, his combat power can be greatly increased, and his life-saving ability can be doubled several times. Even if the sight, smell, and color can be captured, so what? By the time the prediction was over, Luffy had already changed positions several times, and his reflexes couldn't keep up. And as long as Luffy's attack power is enough, he can be killed instantly. I blinked my eyes and my head disappeared, so I asked if it was scary. After the lottery was over, Luffy finally tasted the sweetness and looked at Nami with bright eyes. Come on, get on the boat with me. Good. Seeing the scary look in Luffy's eyes, Nami trembled all over and got on the boat. She is still young and cannot die. Moreover, the evil dragon is still alive, Koko Nishimura has not yet been redeemed, and Nami still has too many dreams that have not been fulfilled. Detect female members +1, bind crew member, Nami. Ask the host to impress him. There are many touching moments, but this is the only one where I can take advantage of myself. It's the Battle of Kokoyashi Village. Speaking of which, when he was watching anime before, he thought Luna CP should be tied to death. In the end, I never thought that I would become the road. Very obedient. The two were huddled close together in a rowing boat. Luffy's character rarely became gentle, and he suddenly whispered, "Hey Nami, be my partner," the kind of formal invitation, "I will always protect you." Thump thump. Looking at Luffy who suddenly became serious, Nami's heart beat faster for no reason, but it quickly calmed down. Good. She agreed, but in her heart she scolded Luffy from head to toe. You are so handsome, protect me. Do I use you for protection? You devilish BD. Fortunately, Luffy couldn't hear her. If he knew what Nami was thinking, he would definitely push her off the boat and let her drink sea water. Do you think I show my true feelings to everyone? So Captain, what's next? Marine East Blue Branch, you row. Ah? You want me to row a boat? You baga. Are you going to scold me again? Voyage on the sea. It's completely different from what's shown in the anime, it's really boring. Especially Luffy, who acted as a rower, listened helplessly to Nami's instructions. Hey! Stupid rubber! Where are you paddling? The direction is wrong. Baga! If you exert any more force, the oar will be broken by you. You can't even row a boat, how dare you go out to sea and become a pirate? You're so stupid. In less than half an hour, Nami returned to her true self and started roaring at Luffy. Luffy's eyelids twitched. Hateful. Is she in need of cleaning up? Luffy frowned and just looked over, but Nami stopped instantly, glanced unnaturally, and whistled, as if watching Luffy's face with his peripheral vision. Hey, this clever little thief cat! So, is there no other way to make the boat move? Luffy stopped, rowing would be boring even if he wasn't tired. Nami snorted softly, put his hands on his hips and said, "There is no other way. Who told you not to snatch the fat pirate's boat just now? Now this boat can only be rowed." Rubber rubber. Luffy thought and stood up suddenly. Nami trembled in fright and immediately moved back a little. Hey! What are you going to do? Didn't you agree to treat me as your partner? You can't kill me. Luffy didn't bother to talk to her. He lay down directly and put his hands into the sea water. Propeller. After saying that, it started stirring. It's really cool to be protected from water. You won't be afraid of the sea water after eating the fruit. In an instant, the speed of the ship increased countless times. All that was left to do was to control the direction. Nami was immediately shocked that he could still play like this. But she still couldn't help but said, "You can only hold on like this for a while. The East Blue Branch is so far away, how can you hold on forever? Just rest when you're tired." While Luffy was lying on his stomach playing in the water, he looked back at Nami who was controlling the direction and said, "Since you admit that you are my partner, let's introduce ourselves to each other. You first." Chapter 4. Nami snorted and said casually, Nami, 18 years old, likes Bailey and orange, family, family. Under Luffy's thoughtful gaze, Nami decisively changed the subject, my dream is to see the world map with my own eyes and then draw it. Having said this, Nami's head lowered. There is still the dragon pirates in her hometown, can she still realize her dream in this life? Luffy glanced at Nami, who suddenly became depressed, and said calmly, Luffy, there is a grandpa at home and a dad outside. My dream is… Wait a minute. Nami suddenly found a blind spot, that's why you haven't said your age yet. 10, 18. Haha, you stuttered. You must not be 18. Tell me quickly, are you younger than me? Call sister Nami and come listen. Nami was very excited, as if being older than Luffy was such a joyful thing. Luffy shouted angrily, I am 18. 18th on May 5th. Liar rubber. You must be younger than 18, 16 at most. Nami tilted her head at him suspiciously. Luffy knew that she was irritating him and wanted him to reveal his true age, so he ignored her. He cleared his throat and continued, my dream is to be the man who becomes the Pirate King. Nami was confused, who is the Pirate King? Why do you want to be her man? Luffy? You heard me wrong, I said I wanted to become the Pirate King. Hearing this, Nami tilted his head and asked, then why do you want to be the Pirate King? Luffy said solemnly, because the Pirate King is the freest man. Nami complained, you can be free even if you don't become the Pirate King, forget it, don't you have more detailed hobbies? Yes, I have. Luffy said seriously, power, wealth, fame, combat power, beauty, power. Listening to Luffy's long words, Nami said speechlessly, which one is your hobby? Luffy has a rare serious face. Of course, all, yes. Nami held her forehead. I'm really speechless. She was very tired. Her luck must be very bad today. Why did she encounter such a strange thing? A rubber-covered monster that doesn't even have a decent boat. He actually wants to be the Pirate King. Forget it. After sorting out his thoughts, Nami asked, so you are not afraid of going to the Marine branch? You are a pirate. Why are you afraid? I am strong. You, okay, just force it. I'm not just talking about strength, but also my background. Hearing this, Nami changed his side and tilted his head, what is your background? Luffy spread his hands, my grandfather is Monkey D. Garp. No need to say more. I only need to open my mouth slightly, which is the limit of this segment. Background, of course, must be shown openly. What's the point of hiding it? Sure enough, after saying this, Nami was stunned. Monkey D. Garp, the legendary marine hero, the main vice admiral. That's his grandfather. If that's the case, please Luffy help, then things in the village. Nami's eyes lit up and her expression was extremely excited. Are you sure you didn't lie to me? Why did I lie to you? How many people named Monkey have you seen? Luffy said casually. Nami thought for a long time, but still shook his head, no, it's definitely not right. If your grandfather was a marine vice admiral, how could you become a pirate? You liar! Damn it, I almost got deceived by him. Sure enough, Belmere was right, men's mouths are deceiving. Luffy shrugged, you don't believe me. Absolutely don't believe it. Nami stared at him, as if she knew this man was lying to her with bad intentions. Luffy looked at Nami's stubborn face speechlessly, and felt a little emotional for a moment. He finally understood how helpless those who told the truth but were regarded as lies felt. If you… Just as he spoke, a sudden change occurred, and the sea suddenly surged continuously. In the world of pirates, crises always come instantly. Boom! Suddenly, a nearly 100-meter-long sea beast suddenly emerged. Its eyes were scarlet and eel-like, and it opened its bloody mouth and drooled. Ah! Nami was immediately stunned on the spot, her mouth slightly open and her pupils shaking. The body of this kind of sea beast is much smaller than that of sea kings, but for an ordinary person, the body of nearly 100 meters will scare half of his life. Unwilling to sit still and wait for death, the girl tightly hugged Luffy's arm, her feet a little unruly. He couldn't help but said tremblingly, "Quick, let's run." After saying that, she went to get the oar as if she had recovered her senses, but before she could touch it, her head was shrouded in darkness. Feel that ultimate danger. Nami's heart suddenly sank to the bottom. His whole body felt chilly, and he looked up in despair. It's over, I'm going to die in the belly of the sea beast. No matter how powerful Luffy is, he can't hit such a big guy, right? Thinking of this, Nami simply gave up struggling, closed her eyes and waited for death. At this moment, a strong hand gently touched her face. It was an indescribable feeling, very warm and reassuring. He pinched Nami's face casually, and his short orange hair fluttered in the wind. Nami, who was so panicked that she was even ready to die, subconsciously opened her eyes. Kazillan stared at her watery eyes, staring blankly at the young and gentle boy. "Na Nami, you are mine, so, whatever scares you, whether it is a human or an animal, must die." As soon as the words fell, a surging momentum burst out, and an astonishing murderous aura rose into the sky. Well! Nami froze there, and her forehead was instantly covered with beads of sweat. Then, under her almost dull gaze, Luffy raised his arm without looking back. Looking at the hand that reached out slowly, Nami's eyes widened. Then, she saw a scene she would never forget. At some point, he stretched out his arm and tightly grasped the teeth of the sea beast, and then he threw the sea beast, which was 100 meters long, into the sky with one hand. The next second, the figure in front of him suddenly disappeared. Above the sky, a black and red electric light shocked the sea beast. Its eyes turned white and its jaw was punched. He flew hundreds of meters backwards, smashed into the top of the mountain over there, and fell to his death. And Luffy didn't know when she was standing in front of her and helped her up. "I said, I will always protect you." Looking at Nami, whose pretty face turned pale and she was so frightened that she burst into tears. Luffy rubbed her head and said amusedly, "You are my partner, it's not okay to cry all the time." Seeing the nervous look on the other party's face, he roughly guessed that the other party might also be frightened by his murderous intent. "I was quite speechless for a while. Why are you so timid? I originally wanted to teach Nami a move or two and let her kill the fishman herself. Now it seems that I still have to kill myself." Luffy didn't mean to blame Nami, after all, Nami was like this from the beginning. Cunning, timid, and wants to run away when something happens. But it doesn't matter, after killing the fishman, she will change overnight. Who is crying? I was blown away by the wind. Nami, who almost thought she was going to die, breathed a sigh of relief, but her mouth was still very hard. She looked at this strong boy who was about the same height as her and extremely kind, still a little unbelievable in her heart. That kind of sea beast, even Arlong, can't be killed with one punch, right? There is also that shocking murderous intention, as if one look can make people kneel down and surrender. He seems to be really strong. If he helps me, then Kokoyashi village. Unexpectedly, Nami's eyes gradually changed as she looked at Luffy. In the orange pupils, an indescribable light flickered. Chapter 5. From Alvida to the 100-meter Sea Kings, Luffy can kill them all with one punch. This kind of fighting power made Nami stunned. Visual art and design. This guy didn't lie, he is really strong. As Nami whispered, a small thought came into his mind, I just don't know if he can beat Arlong. There was a fire of hope burning in his eyes. She didn't know what kind of character Luffy was, or whether he was a good person. But she could feel that the other party seemed to have that kind of thoughts about her. If she was used as a bargaining chip, then the other party would most likely go to trouble Arlong. No. It's impossible, what am I thinking? Arlong is not an ordinary pirate with mediocre strength. He is a fishman from the Grand Line, and the Arlong pirate group has a very large number of people. Even if Luffy is strong, he is weak. If he really can't defeat Arlong, wouldn't that mean you're sending yourself to death? Thinking of this, Nami, who had just felt a little hopeful, felt disappointed again. She is kind-hearted. Luffy cannot be used to make him fight with that dangerous Arlong. Hey, what are you thinking about? At this time, Luffy looked at her sideways. Nami forced a smile and shook her head. No, I didn't think about anything. Oh, let's chat for a while. What to talk about? How about just talking about stories about my childhood? Perhaps he wanted to comfort Nami, who was licking her wounds alone. Or maybe he wanted to open up her closed heart. Luffy and Nami chatted, making the short-haired girl giggle from time to time. Looking at her cute and playful smile, Luffy felt emotional and at the same time became more murderous. That Arlong, we can't let him die too easily. Arrive. More than an hour is not a long time on the vast ocean. At the very least, both Nami and Luffy felt that they had not been on the boat for long. The two chatted enthusiastically for what felt like only 10 minutes. Hey? Is this the time? Luffy, who was sitting on the bow of the boat with his legs crossed, looked surprised. I thought it would take a long time to arrive. Psychology. Nami glanced at the sun in the sky and couldn't help but muttered, it's really been more than an hour. Now that we're here, let's dock. Having said that, Luffy is a gugugumo no. The arm instantly extended infinitely and caught the big rock on the shore. Then there was a flash of light, and under Nami's scream, with a swish, the people and the ship flew directly over. After landing, Nami was so angry that she almost jumped up and punched Luffy on the head. Although he was clearly unarmed, Luffy screamed in pain. He was curious when he was watching anime in his previous life. Nami is a weak chicken under the boat, but invincible on the boat, right? Why does her little hand hurt so much when it hits someone? It's comparable to Garp's iron fist of love. It's really lively. After beating Luffy, Nami was attracted by the noisy city in front of her. Then he couldn't help but glance sideways at the handsome Luffy, with a faint glimmer in his eyes. Speaking of which, she has never seen Luffy use his full strength. This enigmatic man is really unpredictable. My grandfather is a marine hero, but he wants to be a pirate. I don't know what he's thinking. That should be the XX Marine base. After a while, Nami pointed to a location not far away. There is an empty base located there. Surrounded by an iron fence, the seagull flag above is extremely conspicuous. Are you ready? Let's go there. Luffy, who was full of energy, adjusted his straw hat, which was one of the symbols of his background. Then he threw his arms violently, nearly dozens of meters away. Grab the house over there, rubber rubber. Nami's eyelids twitched as she suddenly felt an ominous premonition and subconsciously moved away. Anime and manga. But she didn't want to hide too late, and an arm directly wrapped around her slim waist. It flew out with a scratch. Bazooka. He pushed his arms hard and kicked his legs hard. Nami, who couldn't react, was directly carried away. With a bang, he landed safely with Nami on his shoulders. UBD. Do you want me to die? Nami struggled down, her face pale. He kicked out angrily, directly on Luffy's butt. Like scratching an itch, Luffy picked her big nose and ignored her. If you dare to hug me and fly around without my consent, I will beat you to death. Nami wiped cold sweat and complained angrily. She could only be thankful that she climbed onto his shoulder at the last moment. Otherwise, he will be used as a bazooka to blast him. But then again, this guy's embrace is surprisingly warm. Her face flushed slightly, and for a moment she was a little reluctant to leave. Looking at Luffy's slightly handsome profile, Nami, who was a little distracted, suddenly asked out of nowhere, with your life experience, why do you want to be a pirate? Your grandfather is Vice Admiral Garp, so logically you should be Marine, right? Through the chat on the boat just now, she had generally believed what Luffy said. But she really couldn't figure it out. This kind of man is very powerful and has a strong background. Why would you be willing to row a small broken boat and pick up a female thief to form a pirate group? Is this the problem? Luffy was surprised to see Nami, who didn't leave his arms, but looked up to ask him. However, he still showed his signature smile and said, indeed, if I were a marine, I would have countless tricks, and I could easily obtain a very high status. But I don't like that mediocre life. I like adventure, and I hate celestial dragons. The atmosphere in Marine makes me even more disgusted. He didn't care about Nami's frightened eyes and said casually, of course, choosing to be a pirate does not mean that I am bloodthirsty. Anime and manga. What I long for is one piece that countless pirates on the sea are flocking to, and rather than getting it, I enjoy the adventure of finding it. Nami, in other words, you are just a good pirate who likes adventure, right? Hearing this, Luffy pondered for 2 seconds. No, you may have misunderstood. During the adventurous journey, I will kill anyone who makes me uncomfortable. Nami, hey. Chapter 6. Kill if you don't like it. Isn't that still bloodthirsty? Looking at Luffy with a casual attitude in front of him, Nami was stunned, her eyelids beating regularly. I'm a pirate. Of course I'll kill anyone I don't like, but I definitely don't like the feeling of killing people. Ms. Nami looked at her in shock. Luffy smiled and had no intention of explaining in detail. When Luffy in his previous life encountered an enemy, he just had to fight him off. But he was different. As a real pirate, how could he leave the enemy alive? You have to learn how to last hit. Moreover, since he has traveled through time, it means that this place is the real world for him. What right does he have to spare his enemy and then put those around him in danger? You know, pirates are not kind people. Who knows, those people whose lives he spared will go to Windmill Village to take action against the people around him who value him. Even with Garp here, can he be there every day? And as far as he knew, the Black Arm Zephyr, who upheld benevolence and righteousness and never killed in his life, was retaliated by the pirates who had no bottom line, and all his family members were killed. No matter how great Monkey D. Luffy's background is it greater than that of former Marine Admiral Zephyr? Therefore, being kind-hearted and soft-hearted is the biggest taboo in the pirate world. No harm to the family? To the crazy pirate, it's just a joke. Since you have a grudge, you must send the other person to death. Cutting off the roots is the way to go for pirates. You keep saying that I am murderous. Luffy looked into her eyes that seemed to be able to speak, and said meaningfully, then I will give you a chance to kill Arlong yourself. Will you be soft-hearted? He showed his cards right away and said the name Arlong. Arlong. Hear this. Nami's eyes suddenly widened and her pretty face turned pale. Looking at Luffy in disbelief, cold sweat broke out on his forehead. Goosebumps appeared on her arms, and she looked flustered. How do you know Arlong? She never thought that the other party was actually her enemy. Obviously, the other party knew his identity from the beginning. He was deliberately teasing her from beginning to end. I've heard about the fishmen's occupation of Cocoa West Village, and I know the origins of your little thieving cat Nami. Luffy let go of her and said calmly, see Circle Calendar 1504, you were born in the Kingdom of Wakot, East Blue, and were picked up by Belmere in Cocoa West Village. In 1514, the Dragon Pirates occupied the hometown where you grew up. Your adoptive mother Belmere was killed. At the age of 10, you were forced by Arlong to sacrifice the lives of the villagers because of your talent in painting, so that you could endure the humiliation and join the Dragon Pirates. Tuan, all the hatred is suppressed in your heart. Then I ask you now, if such a mortal enemy kneels in front of you, won't you kill him? Nami was shaking all over. She collapsed on the ground, lowered her head, and bit her lip without realizing it. Tears fell down and there was silence. Also, you are stealing here and there to make money for Arlong, right? Luffy looked at Nami's turned head and spoke softly, use 100 million belly to make a deal with Arlong and buy back Cocoa West Village from him. When these words came out, Nami's expression froze instantly. She didn't look back, but her frozen figure seemed to say it all. The only people who knew about this were her and the dragon pirates. Then Luffy seemed to understand the fear in her heart, and without waiting for her to speak, he explained directly, don't get me wrong, when I was about to go to sea, I rescued a man who was thrown into the sea by Arlong. He Grand Master has been swimming in water for a long time. They are from your Kokoyasi village. Having said this, he looked at the trembling Nami and took a deep breath. Actually, all your villagers know the agreement between you and Arlong. The villagers all know. How come? Looking at Nami who was stunned and didn't know what to say, he continued, but you don't really think that those fishmen will fulfill their promise to you, a weak girl, do you? For them, you are an irreplaceable talent. Correspondingly, they have no reason to give up their hometown that can control you. Luffy's smooth voice. Like a bayonet, it pierced Nami's heart, completely cutting open her bloody heart. I know they won't abide by the agreement, but what can I do? In a corner not far from the base, Nami seemed to have been drained of all her strength and collapsed here. Drops of tears formed a thread and kept falling down from his face. She bit her lip tightly, and the knuckles of her clenched fists turned white. I'm not a monster like you, and I don't have the strength to fight against them. If I didn't do this, all the villagers would have died long ago. Woo. Tears burst out uncontrollably. Her back was turned to Luffy, her face covered in her hands, her eyes misty with tears. He didn't look back, but his emotions gradually became more exciting. He collapsed there and cried, so, even if I know it's impossible, I will try my best to gamble. Luffy sighed softly, I understand you. No, you don't understand. Nami, who had her inner secret revealed and collapsed, completely lost her mind. She turned her back to Luffy and became hysterical, how can someone like you, who has Grandpa Marine and grew up with a golden key in his mouth, understand me? Golden key. Luffy spread his hands and said helplessly, hey, don't lose your temper. Growing up with a golden key in your mouth, do you have any misunderstandings about my origin? Oh, by the way, I didn't tell you, do you think my Grandpa Marine is very powerful? Then I tell you that my dad is the leader of the Revolutionary Army, what do you think? There he talked about his origins in a casual tone. Nami didn't know why she was crying. She suddenly looked back at him with her eyes wide open. Look, this is what the background does. With my background, my grandfather didn't dare to take me to the naval headquarters. I was thrown into Windmill Village since I was a child and grew up with the villagers. When I was young, I was thrown into the deep mountains and forests to fight monsters. When the big bear stood up, his ankles were higher than mine. Can you imagine? It turned out that my grandpa called it a good exercise to train my jungle survival ability and beast fighting ability. You think I am strong because you were forced to do it at that time. Then when I grew up, did you think my grandfather took me to Marine? No, he threw me to the bandits. They are all good people, but do you know the bandits? They have really killed people. Hearing this, Nami was surprised. Looking at Luffy blankly. I can't imagine what kind of childhood this marine hero's grandson spent. But thanks to my grandfather's care, I was able to conquer the entire forest when I was 8 years old. I was able to defeat my grandfather's follower Major when I was 10 years old. When I was 13, my combat power was comparable to that of a colonel in my headquarters. When I was 15, I defeated Grandpa is bored. By the way, I also drank the sworn wine with my 2 brothers. Now one of them is the captain of the second team of 4 Emperors Whitebeard, and the other is a high-ranking member of the Revolutionary Army. Chapter 7. In the corner. Nami seemed to have forgotten to cry, and stared blankly at the smiling man. I didn't expect that the other party had experienced so many bizarre things. What's even more bizarre is that the other party's background is so terrifying. Grandpa is Marine hero Monkey D. Garp. His father is Monkey D. Dragon, the legendary leader of the Revolutionary Army. One of the 2 brothers is the captain of the 4 Emperors, and the other is a high-ranking member of the Revolutionary Army. And those from what she knew. Garp's prestige in naval headquarters even exceeds that of Marshal Sengoku. If you say so. This prince of the Revolutionary Army has the backstage of naval headquarters, and is also sworn in with the captain of the 4 Emperors. These ordinary people's scalps go numb when they hear one background, but there are actually 3 of them. Marine, Revolutionary Army, Pirates. Luffy, who had a tripartite background, shocked her beyond measure. Are you envious of my background? Many people are envious. Luffy said something that he deserved to be beaten, but he did something affectionate. His eyes were full of doting, and he said, "But my background is also yours from today on. I, the crew of Monkey D. Luffy, will not allow anyone to bully me. No matter what happens to you in the future, you must remember that you are mine, so you don't have to be afraid of anyone." Perhaps, such words are suspected of being fake. But Luffy has such confidence, and his strength allows Nami to use his name to pretend. He firmly believes that one day he will become the background of everyone. The names he uses now will shock the sea with his fame in the future. So, you came to find me on the ship after knowing my life experience, and have you always pitied me? Nami's eyes were red and she clenched her fists. His eyes were full of unyielding, he looked directly at Luffy, gritted his teeth and asked with a cry. The remaining pride in her heart made her not want to bow her head in front of this man she had a crush on. She didn't want to be his accessory, and she didn't want him to pity her as a weakling. People are all contradictory creatures. People in comics are no exception. Don't get me wrong, I asked you to come on board because I heard about your sailing ability, and I have no pity for you. Luffy looked at the marine branch not far away and said in a magnanimous tone, "Every day in this world, people are displaced and die. If I feel pity just for being persecuted, then my sympathy would be too low-end." After saying this, Nami's tears seemed to be frozen in her eyes. This careless man accidentally touched her heart. Damn it! He turned his head away in a panic, and the atmosphere became immersed again. After a while, Nami whispered softly. Arlong! Arlong! Arlong, what? You obviously don't know anything. Luffy said calmly, "Well, I don't know." Nami didn't look back, and there was no emotion or anger in his tone. "It's obviously none of your business, so you just don't care about me. How can a thief like me, be worth it?" This time, Luffy didn't reply. Nami couldn't say what she said next at all. Her silence gradually became choked, and when she suddenly looked back, the infinite hope and heart-wrenching helplessness made her burst into tears, biting her pink lips and sobbing. "Luffy, help me!" Hearing this, Luffy took off the straw hat on his head and gently placed it on Nami's head. Then, when Nami raised her head in confusion, she slowly squatted opposite her. The confusion continues. Just when she didn't know what the other party was going to do, her beautiful eyes suddenly widened. "Well..." Luffy lifted her chin and suddenly blocked her pink lips. There is no overbearing demand, it is the kind of love that can be spread into her heart. For a moment, the lips parted. The tears in Nami's eyes had dried up, and she stared blankly at the young man close at hand. "From today on, I promise that anyone who makes you cry will die." His smile seemed to be saying a very ordinary thing, but it spoke loudly. He lowered his head and gently pressed it against Nami's smooth forehead. The scene was ambiguous but peaceful. Nami's charming big eyes obviously didn't come back to her senses. But she knew that she would never be able to get rid of Luffy's ship in this life. This man is very domineering and will not let her escape. But since you can't escape, just follow him. At least, it's much better than facing Arlong's group alone. At least, with his help, Kokoyasi village will be free in the future and will no longer be wantonly killed by Arlong. I just hope that the man in front of me who took away his first kiss will do something as hot as the way he kissed her. Don't let yourself down, or you'll fall apart. Don't doubt me. Luffy ruffled her orange hair and said amusedly, actually, when I rescued your villager, I had already planned to kill that Arlong. As a result, just when I was about to embark on a journey to kill him, I happened to meet you. Nani. Nami's big watery eyes blinked, with a look of astonishment on her face. She looked at Luffy in disbelief and said in surprise, in other words, even if you didn't meet me, you would still go to Coco West Village to kill Arlong. This is indeed something she didn't expect. She originally thought she was just a passerby, but she wanted to help her liberate the village from the beginning. Don't get me wrong, I'm not a good person. I want to kill that Arlong because your villagers say you are very beautiful and have great sailing skills. I thought for a long time and thought that as long as I kill Arlong, you will be satisfied and join my army, so I took action. Beta, Oxo Nami. So, you're pretty smart. Luffy, of course. The tip of his nose lightly touched Nami's. Those deep eyes stared into her jewel-like eyes, as if with a suction force, making Nami's whole body tremble. Hey, I'll help you kill Arlong. In return, you can be my navigator. I don't know why, but when looking at him like this, Nami said out of nowhere, is he just a navigator? No, if you can, leave the rest of your life to me. Ding, host moved the beauty of the plot Nami to succeed, integrating all its current, and future, strengths. Note, after the crew member Nami improves in subsequent strength, the host can fuse again, no limit on the number of times. Congratulations to host for obtaining Nami additional skills, Stealing Hand, Optimized version, Charm, Optimized version. Master of Stealing, within 10 meters, taking the enemy's items is like picking up items from a bag. Charm, passive skill closeness to the opposite S**x plus 10%. Chapter 8. Looking at the system prompts in his mind, Luffy fell into thinking. Forget about charm, after all, there is no one to refer to. Closeness plus 10%. He didn't know what effect it could achieve. But this Master of Stealing is very powerful. Is this equivalent to? Within 10 meters, stealing someone's cover is like searching for something in a bag. Monkey D. Luffy completely abandoned the proper style. This is a very outrageous, new, idea. Of course, there's more to it than just hoods. If the opponent is a man, he can also steal. Please brainstorm ideas. Because the distance was so close, Nami didn't know that Luffy was in a daze. At this time, Nami couldn't help feeling a little distracted when she felt the breath blowing over her. She didn't know why, but she suddenly felt that Luffy was particularly attractive to her. It was like a magnetic field, and I wanted to stick to him for no reason. Is it because he gave himself an indescribable sense of security? Really? With that kind of background, I definitely feel safe. At this moment, feel your breath. There are ripples in my heart. N.A. Luffy. After a long while, Nami, whose breath was blurred, opened his mouth with a blue breath. The sound is so boring that it seems to want to piss people off to death. What's wrong? Luffy looked at her with a smile. Nami's eyes were a little dangerous, the tears on her face had dried, and she looked at him with a smile. You feel happy, don't you? Well, it feels very good. Holding Nami's slim body is much softer than sleeping on Ace. Sure enough, compared to brothers, it is more comfortable to be held by my wife. Luffy naturally tightened his arms, not feeling that Nami was in any danger at all, and said seriously, when I kill Arlong, I can hug him if I want, and collect some interest first. He couldn't put it down. How could he hide away when someone glared at her? Then shouldn't we Zhenfu gang? Nami was so angry that she gritted her teeth at Luffy's shamelessness. She narrowed her eyes and finally said in a low tone, before you kill Arlong, I will hug you for 10 million Baileys. Hey? Is it so expensive? Expensive? I'm already very cheap to you, okay? Also, that was my first kiss just now, how are you going to compensate me? Hehe, can you do it without compensation? Luffy had a doting smile in his eyes, but he soon thought of something. His expression became serious for a second and he said, the only one who can touch you in the future is myself. Stay away from the Mediterranean children, the long-nosed sniper king and so on. Ah? What are you talking about? How could I let others touch me? Who do you think I am? Nami narrowed her eyes angrily, staring at him fiercely, grabbing his collar and looking evil. If this BD hadn't just taken away her first kiss, she would have been upset. Just now it made her heart beat so much that she almost fell for nothing. She will definitely beat him up and teach him how to behave. You are a good person, but there are many bad people who have evil intentions towards you. Luffy said matter-of-factly. After thinking for a while, he added another sentence, you can't hang around in a bra from now on. You can show it to me, but others can't. You can only FK yourself, no one else can FK you. So domineering. Of course, Luffy has also thought about those people who came into contact with Nami-san in the original world. Create a big team and keep all male workers away. Especially Sanji, either don't look for it, or let him have his own boat. Otherwise, wouldn't he be annoying himself to death if he scratches his head every day? As for the Mediterranean warrior children, it's easy for others to say, he must die. Nami's face darkened at what he said. She decisively raised Luffy's ear and asked for Bailey, give me 10 million Bailey first. I won't give it, and I will take charge of the financial power from now on. Luffy has a bottom line and must not let Nami take care of money, otherwise he will not be able to afford meat. What did you say? I said Bailey, I don't care. And I forgot to tell you. His mind turned around and he looked at Nami who was gritting her teeth and said slowly, not only Bailey, but you as well, including your sister Nakajao, I have to take care of it. I heard from your villager that your sister Nakajao is very smart, and I want her to be my ship's military advisor temporarily. The villagers are made up, and the cleverness is made up. Because Nakajao is a drama beauty, he can win the lottery if he gets on the boat. Arlong has to be killed anyway, Nami is moved, and Nakajao will be moved as well. Why not kill two birds with one stone? Nanny. The little thieving cat's eyes widened. She has never seen such a shameless person. It's not enough to ask for one of her, but he even targets her sister. This guy is such a BD. Looking at this little baga who is not satisfied but still acting as if he is taking it for granted. Nami couldn't control it anymore. He pounced directly on Luffy, opened Sakura's peach-pink lips and said, "A-hole. I'm going to bite you to death." Chapter 9. Okay, that's almost it. Let's get down to business. Fooled around for a while. Luffy, who had taken advantage of her, hugged Nami, who was angry and had itchy teeth. Let you watch something interesting. After the words fell, Luffy's legs compressed and he suddenly jumped and disappeared. Under Nami's eyes full of disbelief. The two of them seemed to have disappeared into the world, and the scene around them seemed to freeze for a moment. Teleport. Hardly less than a second. Nami blinked subconsciously. The surrounding scenery changed completely. The two of them had appeared in mid-air. Below them was the building of the Marine Branch Base. Nami, we're here. Luffy smiled brightly and said to Nami, who was holding him tightly in her arms. One thing to say is that the female characters in One Piece are far beyond ordinary people's understanding, and their bodies are so exaggerated that they almost don't look human. Luffy can't imagine how big Nami will grow to in 2 years' time. If we were talking about poker, it would be against Jack, right? Before going to sea, Luffy had delved into the development of Marine 6 styles based on his past life memories. With the special ability of Comprehension Heaven-defying, he easily mastered the super combined 6 style stunt, 6 King's Spear, as well as the ability to return life. He has also developed a higher level of combat ability than the 6 styles, giving him a more perfect physical strength than CP9. Strictly speaking, he is scarier than future Lucci, and he has mastered it from the beginning. Marine Taijutsu, and also has unlimited independent development, a Taijutsu madman with potential far beyond CP0. Teleportation combined with moonwalk can make him 100 meters away in an instant and stop indefinitely in the air. Ah! Are we in the sky? Nami looked left and right after regaining consciousness, and her eyes widened. He looked around in astonishment. How is this possible? But soon, her mouth opened slightly in shock. Astonishingly, they discovered that the two men were indeed fixed at a position nearly 100 meters above Marine Base. I felt inexplicably horrified. She looked at Luffy, who was holding her tightly in disbelief. What terrifying power this mysterious man has! Appearing hundreds of meters away in the blink of an eye, and being able to freeze in mid-air. Isn't it incredible? He looked down at the branch base below and saw an empty square. In the middle of the square, there was a man tied to a cross, with short green hair, exposed to the scorching sun, and covered in blood stains. Found it! Toolman number 1, Roronoa Zoro. To be honest, Luffy originally thought that he would only recruit female crew members, but after reading the original work of One Piece, he turned around and thought, tool men are indispensable. Yes. You can't let your woman fight every time you fight in the future. So after careful consideration, Luffy wants the Straw Hats to regroup. Just for my own convenience, I have to put them on another ship. Let's talk about now. As if he noticed something, Zoro suddenly raised his head, and his eyes widened like bells. That guy. Uh-huh. In an instant, Zoro's pupils shrank in shock. Luffy, who was holding Nami in his arms, stepped lightly and instantly turned into an afterimage. With the ability to teleport, Nami appeared in front of the two of them. So fast! Zoro was horrified, looking at Luffy with astonishment in his heart. The aura on this man's body is so strong. Hey, who are you? Luffy looked calm. My name is Monkey D. Luffy, I will help you untie the rope, so you can be my partner. Hard to beat beans, what did you say? I'm looking for a pirate companion. I reject. Zoro narrowed his eyes and said angrily, do you want me to take the initiative to be a villain? Don't waste your efforts. What's wrong with being a pirate? Luffy asked. Zoro retorted loudly, pirates are crooked, who wants to be a pirate? As long as I persist for 10 days, I can reach an agreement with that guy with a chin. Faced with this green algae head who doesn't want to eat anything, Luffy doesn't care whether he agrees or not. He immediately crossed his arms, turned his head and said, but I have decided that I want you to be my crew member. Nami, please introduce yourself to him. Hey you BD. Don't make decisions for me without permission. Zoro, who was tied up, was furious and yelled at the Straw Hat Boy in front of him. Nami next to her saw Luffy's smiling face and could only give him an annoyed look. Then he smiled, stood on the opposite side and introduced himself to Zoro. Hello, my name is Nami, and I am the navigator on the ship. Hey! I didn't say I wanted to join you. Zoro was helpless and furious, looking at the two people in front of him and feeling speechless. But Luffy didn't give him any time to talk nonsense and said casually, stop thinking nonsense. I asked you all before coming. The colonel's son will execute you tomorrow. Nani. Green Algae's eyes widened. Mabel has no intention of abiding by the agreement, so I will kill that kid later. Luffy rolled his eyes and continued, after killing him, I will snatch your knife. If you want to get the knife back, you can only be my companion, haha. This bad guy. Looking at this scene, Nami next to him laughed out loud. Should he say it or not, Luffy, who can be careless at times, is very smart at critical moments. He can actually handle this green guy easily. As a fan of the Poseidon anime in his previous life, Luffy naturally knows what Zoro's weakness is. One of the 3 knives taken away from him belonged to his childhood friend Kuina. To Zoro, that knife is more important than his life. Really? As soon as these words came out, Zoro over there was shocked. Hey! You're such a mean-spirited BD. He was stronger than Luffy, and being so friendly to him completely made him unable to get angry. Ha ha ha, what are you doing? And this time, a man with blonde hair parted in the middle, holding a forked chin, wearing a suit, walked in from the front door with a dozen marines. He walked with arrogant steps and his laughter was very unbeatable. Looking arrogantly at Luffy, Nami, and Zoro over there, he said arrogantly, I didn't expect you to dare to break into Marine Base. Are you guys all the accomplices of that pirate hunter? Chapter 10. Belumber. Seeing this renegade BD, Zoro's voice sounded like teeth. But his hands were trapped, and even if he had the power to kill him, he couldn't use it, so he could only focus on Luffy. As for Luffy's appearance just now, he could clearly feel the heart-stopping ferocious aura of this guy. This guy's combat power is probably far beyond what he understands. In fact, Zoro can be sure that even in his heyday, he is probably not the opponent's enemy. So these marines in front of me are definitely not enough in front of this person. All I can say is, you are seeking your own death. What are you asking me to do? Haha, you will be a corpse by tomorrow. Belumber showed a smile that deserved a beating, and said playfully as he walked over, not only you, but also your comrades will die. The marines behind him had tangled expressions on their faces when they heard this. But because he is afraid of Belumber's father, the boss of the marine branch here and the ruler of Shields Town, Axeman Monka. All they could do was grit their teeth, raise the spears in their hands, and aim at the 3 people here, including Zoro. Ahaha, you see, here my father is the emperor, and as his only son, I am the only successor to his throne. Belumber's proud laughter spread. He looked at the 3 of them with disdain and sneered, 3 mere bugs dare to offend me. You will go to hell. This BD. Nami is already furious. Marine, the rat from her hometown, is in cahoots with that Arlong. As a result, I changed places and it was still the same depraved state. What is going on in this world? Haha, you're sorry. Looking at the expressionless 3 people, Belumber said with a playful smile, you 2 just need to kneel down and beg me now, and I will spare your lives, how about that? Said. He glanced at Luffy with Nami holding his arms full of jealousy. I have already decided in my heart that after making this guy kneel down, I will still kill him. But that woman is quite pretty. After killing this guy, you can take her to the room and play with her. Want me to kneel down? Nami glanced at him and sarcastically said without mercy, you deserve it. You ugly thing, you deserve to die. Knowing Luffy's strength, she didn't take Mabel Bell seriously at all. Nanny? You are such a disgusting stinky woman, how dare you insult this young master? Belumber, who was insulted by Nami as ugly in front of his face, was so angry that his whole body was shaking. His eyes were filled with coldness, and he said loudly with a ferocious face, shoot me and let them all go to hell. Hey, hey, you should be the one going to hell to report. At this time, Luffy, who had been silent until now, suddenly spoke. In the blink of an eye, everyone just felt their eyes were dazzled. Then, under Zoro's shocked and indescribable expression. Bellamub, who was so arrogant just now, was pinched by Luffy's neck with one hand and lifted into the air by Luffy, who was holding Nami. Nami, Star Eyes.jpg. You Fengdan, let go of this young master. Bellamabel, whose face was red from being pinched, struggled and cursed angrily. In panic, his short legs kicked back and forth. Both hands were pulling Luffy's big hand harder, trying to struggle out. But even if I tried my best, I couldn't move my fingers even an inch. What? When did he come over? I didn't see it at all. Hurry, let go of Master Bellamieber, we are going to shoot. At this time, a dozen marines over there reacted and pointed their guns at Luffy. But at this moment... Roll! Luffy's eyes narrowed. Black and red lightning spread out from around him, and terrifying fluctuations swept in all directions. In an instant, everyone fainted except Nami, Zoro, and Bellam, who was holding him in his hand. Thump thump! People fell one after another. The scene was mind-numbing. What? Zoro's eyes widened like quins. He had no idea when Luffy made his move. What's going on? It was also the first time for Nami to feel this momentum up close, and she looked at Luffy, who was holding her with her mouth slightly open. Ah! Bellamieber, who was about to be strangled to death, looked at this scene in shock. Luffy looked at him indifferently, without any fluctuation in his eyes. Hey, you just scolded me, right? Is this guy taking it out on me? Nami in her arms couldn't help but blush when she heard this. In so many years, Luffy was the first man to give her such a sense of security. Look at his calm and murderous side face. There was a brilliance visible to the naked eye in her bright big eyes. But then I couldn't help but complain in my heart, who is your person? However, the way this guy looks angry for himself is really unexpectedly handsome. Chapter 11. You, let me go, BD. He was on the verge of suffocation after being pinched by Luffy, and his face was already blue and purple. But as the son of the axeman Menka, he had been pampered since childhood and had no idea how to beg for mercy. He was still threatening loudly and without thinking. Do you know who my father is? He is Colonel Menka the axeman. If you dare to kill me, he will definitely kill you all. Even the people in this town will pay the price for your actions. You don't want the whole town to be buried with you, right? Glancing at Zoro on the cross over there, Bellamieber wanted to threaten Luffy again. At first, it was because his dog almost bit the little girl, but he was unexpectedly killed by the pirate hunter Zoro with a knife. He even hurt him afterwards and even used the knife to hold the most powerful colonel. On my son's neck. In desperation, he threatened Zoro with the lives of the girl and her family, but Zoro still didn't obey. Since this Luffy is Zoro's accomplice, he will definitely care about the lives of those lowly people. Menka, will you be buried with him? Luffy seemed to have heard the joke. As he smiled, the disdain in his eyes became more intense, including your father Menka, everyone will die here today. How could a self-centered person like him be threatened by Bellamieber? Not to mention the whole town, even if Zoro threatens him, he won't accept it. This is his character, he will never compromise his bottom line for anyone or anything. Not to mention, his father Menka had no chance to go to the town to take revenge on the villagers. Disdainful in his heart, Luffy's big hand pressed harder. Bellamub's eyes rolled white, with a face full of unwillingness and ferociousness, and he said calmly, in the next life, be a dog. Finger pistol. Pfft. Out of the blue. Conqueror's haki emerged from Luffy's fingers and penetrated into Bellamub's chest. Rubber finger. Between the firelight and electric stone. A finger penetrated through Bellamub's heart. Bellamub's screams suddenly stopped, and the whole person's life breath disappeared instantly. Zoro and Nami instantly froze and felt chills running down their spines. He's dead. The kind-hearted Nami was dumbfounded. After seeing this horrifying scene, he immediately hid in Luffy's arms, not daring to look up. Look at him. As a pirate, killing people is something you have to experience sooner or later. Luffy didn't realize how cold-blooded his actions were, and placed the dead-eyed Bellamyber in front of Nami. You. Nami was trembling, knowing that Luffy was right, so she could only look at him with a pale face. But he quickly pushed Luffy away, couldn't help himself, ran to the side and retched. Luffy shook his head helplessly and smiled, then looked at the shocked Zoro over there and said, I think even if I don't take your knife, you can only be my crew member. After saying that, without waiting for Zoro to respond, he stepped forward and untied his rope. Indeed, he was regarded as an accomplice to kill Marine Colonel Menka's son. I'm afraid that as soon as I left here today, a wanted order will be issued. Zoro didn't panic and moved his neck and body. Then he looked at Luffy, who looked casual, and grinned, with a captain as powerful as you, maybe joining you as a pirate would be a good choice. Welcome to join us. Luffy said with a smile, let's get your knife together. By the way, we can pick up the Grand Line chart collected by Menka. His purpose from the beginning was not only to get Zoro on board, but more importantly to him, to get Menka's chart. Grand Line. Hearing this, Roronoa Zoro burst into laughter, are you going there? It's exactly what I want. He went to sea just to go to the Grand Line to find the world's greatest swordsman Hawkeye, one of the Shishibukai Dracula Mihawk. Challenge each other to become the world's greatest swordsman and let your name ring through the heavens. Fulfill the promise you made to your childhood friend Kuina. It's just that he got lost when he went to sea and couldn't find his way back. In order to have enough to eat, I can only live as a pirate hunter and earn some bounty money. I hope that guy hasn't come to Menka yet, otherwise we will have one more crew member. At this time, Luffy suddenly thought of someone, and the smile on his face was bright and bright. The former trainee crew member of One Piece, the best friend of red-haired Shanks, the future Shishibukai, and later the Four Emperors, Buggy the Clown. If this person gets on the ship, he will definitely be no weaker than Zoro's tool man. Not to mention anything else, just his lucky color haki made Luffy jealous. Moreover, who said he was weak? Is it really that simple to be able to be on the Pirate King's ship? And Chop Chop fruit, one of the top paramecia fruits. As long as he trains himself a little, this person will definitely be more effective than Zoro. Captain, I can't calm down without a knife, otherwise we... Zoro hasn't finished speaking yet. Luffy across from him suddenly felt something and looked sideways at the door, it seems like you can only get your knife later. Finished saying this, a large number of marines poured in from outside. Each one held a gun and blocked the exit completely. The leader was a tall man with a giant axe in his left hand. His jaw is covered with iron metal, he has short blonde hair, and his eyes are as sharp as a knife. Just looking at it gives me a suffocating feeling. It's enough to silence ordinary people and some small pirates. Astonishingly, he was the boss of the Marine branch in Shields Town, the ruler of an area of nearly 100 miles. Axe King, Menka. He is also the only one who can let Garp break through the defense. Chapter 12. Axeman, Menka. In the original trajectory, Monkey D. Garp was knocked over with an axe, successfully took a hostage, escaped successfully in front of the Marine heroes, and earned the title of Axe King. In a place as big as Shields Town, this man is the local emperor. Colonel Nami, who had stopped retching, squatted there with a trace of panic in her eyes. That guy deserved to be beaten to death. But if we kill the colonel, even if Luffy's grandfather is Vice Admiral Garp, there will be trouble, right? But Luffy didn't care at all. He even rang the phone in his shorts pocket. Porlo beep. Connected. Colonel Monka, Master Bellamyber, are dead. A lieutenant colonel stood next to Menka, his voice trembling. He just saw the body there with fingers pierced through it, and he went up to check it before he discovered it. That BD who relied on his father to dominate him is actually dead. What? Master Bellamyber is dead. Gilu, these people. It's over, Colonel Menka is going to go crazy. Hearing this, the Marines behind them looked at the corpse over there, with horrified expressions on their faces. To be honest, when they saw the evil-doing Bellamyber on weekdays, they wished he would die, but after he actually died, they were afraid again. Because Colonel Menka, who ruled them like a tyrant, would be furious when he saw his only son die tragically on the spot. Once this murderous colonel starts fighting, they will definitely be affected. Your son did all kinds of evil in the town, he deserves to die. Zoro, who was blocked by Marine, showed no fear at all and instead spoke calmly. Nami also came behind Luffy at this time, looking like Zoro was right. A good-for-nothing who relies on my glory to dominate will die. Menka's eyes were scarlet, and the giant axe in his hand could be seen trembling slightly. He could not suppress his anger, and stared at several people with murderous eyes, but what I am curious about is, how dare you untouchables kill him and not escape, waiting for me to come. His eyes were full of murderous intent, and he ordered, to avenge those lowly untouchables, so kill my son? Okay, okay. All Marines, listen to the order. Arrest all these people, including the untouchables in the town who are related to them, and execute them all. This. The Marines looked at each other and executed the villagers. Is this too much? Just when they didn't know what to do, a lieutenant junior grade stepped forward and said in a deep voice, "Report to the colonel, if you want to kill them, just kill them as the culprits. The residents are innocent, ah." Before he could finish his words, Menka suddenly hit him with an axe. Blood splattered all of a sudden, and Marine next to him was covered in blood. Lieutenant Junior Grade. I am really impatient to dare to disobey my order. In Shields Town, my order is absolute and no one is allowed to question it. Glancing at the dead body of Lieutenant Junior Grade on the ground, Menka looked around at the silent Marines, be optimistic about his fate. If anyone dares to oppose me, I guarantee that he will die worse than him. Yes, Colonel. A group of Marines turned pale with fear and responded in panic. But they dared not speak out in anger. They looked at the dead body of Lieutenant Junior Grade and secretly gritted their teeth with their heads lowered. You bastards, don't think you can get out of here alive. Menka raised his axe, glared at the three people in front of him, and sneered continuously, when I kill you, I will report it to Marine and define you as pirates, and get extra credit. As he spoke, his voice became a little excited. When he caught 100 strategies of Crow, he was promoted step by step to become the branch's top officer. And this time, in order to deal with the pirates and lose his beloved son, Marine will definitely raise his military rank to a higher level. Who knows, you can enter the naval headquarters directly. Rubber bullets. Suddenly, a loud shout came from the opposite side. Then he saw a black fist flying over as quickly as a bullet. With a bang, it hit Menka's face, which was astonished. He blasted it away hard and smashed through the door behind him. Large amounts of dust filled the air. And in the stunned eyes of everyone in the audience, Luffy picked his nose. Picked up the angry phone bug in his hand. Grinning, Grandpa, did you hear everything? There are moths in your Marine branch. Monkey D. Garp on the other side of the phone was gnashing his teeth in anger, and it showed on the face of the phone bug. A lieutenant junior grade kills at will and also kills innocent residents of the town. Can such a BD become a colonel? Monkey D. Garp, Luffy, turn the phone bug volume up. Luffy, oh. He had just finished tinkering with the phone bug when he heard Monkey D. Garp's bell-like voice. I am Naval Headquarters Vice Admiral Monkey D. Garp, Marine Number 0005. After receiving reports from the people in Shields Town, after verification, Colonel Monkey is cruel and autocratic. Therefore, this Vice Admiral specially sent my grandson Monkey D. Luffy to arrest him. All branches of Marine must cooperate with his actions unconditionally. Anyone who dares to disobey will be punished. Punished as a rebel. Chapter 13. Hiss. Did I hear it correctly? It's Vice Admiral Garp's voice. Nanny. Vice Admiral Garp said that this guy is his grandson. Monkey D. Luffy. It turns out that he was sent by Vice Admiral Garp to capture Colonel Monkey. Is Colonel Monkey a prisoner? The sudden change shocked everyone. Especially those Marines, their jaws almost dropped to the ground. They have long been dissatisfied with Menka's dictatorship, but no one dares to disobey this local emperor because the official level is so overwhelming. Unexpectedly, Garp, the Marine hero of the headquarters, actually targeted this man and even sent his grandson to capture him. Garp has used image bugs to hold meetings for all Marines before, and his voice is known to all Marines everywhere and cannot be faked. And the black fist of the guy in red can become black just like Vice Admiral Garp's iron fist of love. There's no mistake, this is the grandson of the hero Garp. For a moment, all the Marines looked at Luffy with a sudden change in their eyes. It was an indescribable respect. After taking the phone bug back, hearty laughter came from over there. Ha ha ha, Luffy, you said you wanted to be a pirate, aren't you helping Marine catch moths? Listen to Grandpa and become a Marine. I don't want it. I want to be the Pirate King. He is just someone I met on the road. I can't stand him. You brat, why are you the Pirate King? You want to be the Marine King. My grandson is so infuriating that Garp is living in Bungbu. He started roaring at the phone bug. You idiot, what's wrong with being a Marine? Can't your dream change? You said, you are the man who wants to be Marine Marshal. After that, Grandpa will buy you meat. Then, a very abrupt voice came from the other side of the phone. Garp, what are you talking about when you step on a horse? Sengoku, I'm so angry, don't take it personally. I think you need to clean up. I will fine you to write a 10,000 word self-criticism. Is 5,000 okay? The voice on the phone no longer allowed Luffy to interrupt. He could imagine his grandfather's black face expression as if he had eaten shit. Nami behind him was extremely amused, and at the same time, his heart dropped to the ground. Luffy really didn't lie, his grandfather was really a Marine hero. There will definitely be no problem in rescuing Kokoyashi village now. At this time, Menka, who was knocked unconscious by a punch, was showing signs of slowly waking up. Luffy glanced over there and said to Garp, Grandpa, I'm going to beat someone up. I'll die first. Wait, don't kill him, otherwise you. Before he could finish his words, Luffy died with a snap. Then, he looked back at Nami and said, you and Zoro are here and wait for me. Okay, Nami was so well behaved, and her voice was so sweet that it was so sweet. However, after Luffy walked towards the door, she immediately looked towards the branch building. Zoro seemed to feel something. Nami, what are you going to do? Hey Roronoa Zoro, don't you want to get the knife back sooner? Nami's tone was full of inducement. Think, so. So let's go in, I'll help you get the knife, you can help me get the navigation chart, and by the way, you can search for some Baileys for me, how about that? It's okay to get the treasure map, but search Bailey in the Marine branch. Why are you afraid? Ah? How can I, Roronoa Zoro, be afraid? Let's go. As a little master of demagoguery, Nami can control Zoro in just a few words. Then the two sneaked into the Marine branch building quietly, and ended up in Belamub's room and Monka's office. 3 swords and 20 kilograms of gold were found. As for the pirate picture, the two of them couldn't find it, so it must have been taken away by someone. But looking at the gold, Nami was still very excited. Her eyes turned into Bailey, and she muttered. According to the international price, 1 ton of gold is 43.2 trillion belly. 1 kilogram is 4.32 million, and 20 kilograms is 86.4 million. Privately traded gold can increase the price by 180,000 belly per kilogram, which is 3.6 million. Altogether, it's exactly 90 million. Ha ha ha, I'm rich. If Luffy outside hears Nami's calculation speed, he will definitely be shocked. Hey guys, Nami is possessed by fanfiction. Outside, branch door. Luffy looked at Menka, who was beaten to death by him, and showed a bright smile. Now surrender, I'll go tell my grandpa and ask him to keep your whole body. A-hole, are you kidding? Menka laughed angrily. He never expected that this guy was actually Garp's grandson, and he secretly called Garp and tricked him. You shouldn't be so confident. What about Garp's grandson? I will kill you today. Menka directly grabbed the two guards, and the two looked at each other. Kaka. The bullet was loaded, and the black muzzle was pointed at Luffy. Are you scaring me? Luffy smiled happily. Come on, shoot, do you two dare? Hearing this, the corners of Menka's mouth twitched fiercely. Arrogant, too arrogant. And those two losers were also furious. They usually followed Menka and did a lot of harm to people. If something happened to Menka, they would definitely not be able to recover. But the man opposite is the grandson of Vice Admiral Garp. If he were to shoot at him, he would die miserably, right? Shoot, kill him. Chapter 14. The angry Menka has lost his mind. However, his rage rarely received any response. Those two losers in front really didn't dare to pull the trigger. Colonel Monka. The guard next to him was embarrassed. You two losers, die. Menka was so angry that he raised his axe, and he was killed by the two of them. The head was cut into pulp and fell down dripping with blood. How dare you resist me? I am a marine hero, the famous Monka. He has turned into a beast. The giant axe swinging wildly produced bursts of whistling sounds, making a group of marines afraid to step forward. Now what? Should he listen to the main hero Garp, or continue to help Menka? If you don't listen to Menka, will you die now? I told you that you are really weak. Luffy hugged his arms and said, you know this guy's crime best, but he doesn't even dare to resist? My grandfather said that anyone who doesn't cooperate with me will be treated as a rebel. You don't want to be punished. Should the Vice Admiral be executed? Everyone was stunned. The scene was silent for several seconds. Then, a sailor with a gun suddenly pointed the gun in Menka's direction. He suppressed his fear and said loudly, Brother is right, Menka, you are cruel and rampant and use power for personal gain. You should die long ago. With the leader in charge, more and more people resisted. Everyone's guns were pointed in Menka's direction. After this operation, Menka's face suddenly turned red and the veins on his neck popped out. Dare you point a gun at me? You are looking for death. Completely irritated, he started hacking away with a big axe. All enemies except him. When many soldiers saw this, they were so frightened that they hurriedly ran away. The long-term suppression made them dare not resist. Ha 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 ha, I'm coming. Seeing that they were being cowardly, Luffy moved and rushed forward. Then there was a teleport, and when he appeared here he was already riding on Menka's neck. UBD. Menka's expression changed drastically. Forget it, let you live one more day. Luffy didn't know what he thought of, but the hand that was going to hit his temple hit him with a fist on top of his head. In an instant, Menka's pupils rolled up and his eyes turned white. The tall body suddenly fell down and fell to the ground in the square. Life or death was unknown. Hey, at this level, can you still let Grandpa break through the defense? As expected, comics can't do anything but brains. Luffy stood up from his neck, then glanced at the group of confused sailors over there, and said loudly. I am very happy that you have returned from your lost ways. I will explain to Grandpa when I have time and declare you innocent. Outside the building, Zoro and Nami, who had just come out, were stunned. This development is a bit too fast. The eyes can keep up, but the brain cannot. The sailors were stunned for a long time before they all raised their guns with one hand and shouted loudly. "Thank you, Hero Luffy! Long live the Hero Luffy! Hero Luffy is awesome!" Nami and Zoro looked at each other and then fell into each other's confusion. Zoro rubbed his green hair and looked confused. "So I just joined the pirate group, are you sure it's not the marine group? Could it be that what Luffy is saying is that he is looking for a companion to be a marine with? Have I lost my memory? No, where is Luffy from?" 3 hours later. Inside the tower, behind Menka's desk. Luffy put his legs on the desk and leaned back strategically, listening to the Marine's report. "Reporting to the hero, the ship you want has been purchased, the prisoner Menka has also been escorted to the prison and can be executed at any time." "Very good, you have made great achievements. I will let Grandpa promote you when there is time." Luffy nodded and said. The sailor was so excited. "Thank you, sir. Okay, let's prepare food, we're all starving. Go now." The Marine immediately withdrew and quickly went to the dining room. And on the sofa in the office, Nami and Zoro both had dumbfounded expressions on their faces, staring blankly at Luffy on the chair. "What are you looking at?" Luffy looked back in confusion. Nami rubbed his eyebrows with a look of confusion on his face. "Let me ask you, why is it that you, a pirate, can arrogantly give orders in the marine branch, and those marines still call you a hero?" "Ha ha ha, this is the power of background. Don't I have a heroic grandpa as my background? I will definitely inherit the title of hero." Luffy stood up with a smile, went to the coffee table in front of Nami, took a grape, and threw it into his mouth. "What's the point of giving orders? I'll have to publicly execute Colonel Marine tomorrow." After this wave, the two people on the opposite side were completely stunned. Pirates publicly executed Captain Marine? Was it an auditory hallucination? Speaking of which, Luffy is able to thrive here. Of course, it all depends on his cheap grandfather Garp. As a marine hero, Garp's name is more useful than Sengoku in East Blue's hometown. This is really not nonsense. You go to a remote village and say who Sengoku is, no one knows, but if you say who Garp is, even a 7-year-old child knows it. However, being famous means being famous, and Marine still pays attention to superiors and subordinates. Like right now, in naval headquarters. As a hero, Garp was eating senbei and being scolded when he glanced up at the furious Sengoku. "Well, keep your head down and eat." The angry Marshal Sengoku covered his heart and raged helplessly. Garp. UBD. Chapter 15. Grand Line, Marine Ford. On the top floor of the fortress is the Marshal's office. Garp. Sengoku gritted his teeth and looked at the old man in front of him who was sulking and eating furiously. "I'm telling you about your grandson, can you listen to me?" "Garp, you said what you said, I can hear you while I'm eating." Sengoku's old face was as black as coal, but there was nothing he could do. He sighed and said, "Do you know how much trouble your grandson caused? He instigated the Marine branch in Shield's town to rebel. The colonel was imprisoned, and he became now that I'm the boss, I want to publicly execute Menka." "Ha ha ha, you are indeed my grandson, his temper is just like mine." On the sofa, Garp finished eating senbei and drank tea. His old face was full of smiles. "Ah, Sengoku, why are you angry? You heard the phone call yesterday. It was Menka who went too far." Sengoku's mouth twitched fiercely. "Menka did it, but what your grandson can't do. Let a pirate who just went to sea publicly execute the colonel on behalf of Marine? I feel ashamed just thinking about it. No, even if it's execution, our people have to go there. Even your Garp's grandson can't kill the colonel on your behalf. Where do you want Marine's face to go?" Okay, you can send whoever you want. It just so happens that I haven't been back to Windmill Village for a long time. I also went to East Blue for a walk." After Garp finished speaking, he stood up, threw the empty bag of senbei into the trash can, and walked out laughing. Sengoku looked at his back and curled his lips, then reluctantly picked up the tea and took a sip. This guy is a calf protector. According to normal circumstances, even if there is a problem with Menka, it should be decided by a military court. Luffy made a big fuss in the Marine branch in private, and even forced a public execution. Considering this kind of behavior, it is normal to arrange a bounty of tens of millions on his head. This BD. Why go shopping in East Blue? He's obviously worried that his grandson will suffer. Sengoku unhappily opened a new bag of senbei and ate it crunchily. But speaking of it, when Luffy was young, he followed Garp to Windmill Village and met him. As soon as we met, we called him second grandma. Although she deserves a beating, she is very cute. This gadget was originally very popular, but now why is it so troublesome? Shields Town, Marine Division. Zoro ate happily, thinking that he would finally have a good meal. Nami, on the other hand, had no appetite, biting her lip absent-mindedly, and using her chopsticks to pick up the dishes on the plate. Luffy glanced at her sideways. What's wrong with you? Nami puffed her lips and said, I didn't find the navigation chart of the Grand Line. I originally wanted to try my luck. It's really hateful. Luffy was stunned for a moment, then blew into Nami's ear. My Miss Navigator is so cute. Nami's little face suddenly turned red. You're too close. She thought she was doing Luffy a favor by being so interested, but the bad guy actually teased her. She was so frightened that she quickly moved her buttocks to stay away from him. The hateful guy knows how to bully himself. Lord Luffy, a town-wide announcement has been made regarding Menka's execution tomorrow. At this time, a marine guard came up and said, I understand. The execution will be carried out at noon tomorrow. Let's ask the residents to come and watch. Yes. The soldier stood at attention and left. Nami looked confused and asked, Luffy, why did you want to execute Menka? Kill Marine in an honest and fair way. Luffy thought for a moment and explained in a simple way, killing Menka openly here, Marine has nothing to say. Then when you get to your hometown, you can kill the mouse colonel as a matter of course. Nami understood something immediately and guessed, so, Colonel Mouse and Arlong are together. Otherwise, Luffy said casually, you have thought Arlong was doing evil for so long, who gave him the confidence? That mouse colonel has been colluding with him for a long time. As long as we have enough evidence and kill Colonel Mouse, even if we are the perpetrators, Marine cannot issue a reward for us. Having said this, he stretched out his hand and pinched Nami's little nose. Now that you have done it, you must do it to the end. You must eradicate the hidden dangers in your hometown. So, you took the risk to execute Menka just to kill the rat. Nami was extremely surprised. This way you can connect. In other words, Luffy had thought everything out before coming here. Including killing Menka, it was all paving the way to deal with the mouse colonel in her hometown. Why is he so nice to me? Nami was so moved that if Zoro wasn't here, she would have kissed him. Luffy shrugged, yeah, but this move will definitely offend Marine. With the temperament of those guys, they probably won't let me go easily. After all, a tyrannical Colonel Menka has already made them feel embarrassed, and coupled with a rat colonel who is colluding with pirates. As someone who is not a Marine, I slap them in the face one after another, and they will definitely target me. So you see, how much risk I took for you. Poof. Nami smiled like a flower, moved his chair, and sat down next to him. Thank you Luffy. Crew Nami's impression level, 100%, triggering hidden rewards. Congratulations to host for getting, navigation max. Any little surprises? Okay Nami, let me brush the reward 3 times. After teasing Nami under the table for a while, Luffy started to check the personal attributes column. His overall strength is enough to change the map, right? Chapter 16. Host, Monkey D. Luffy. Age, 17 years old. Physical fitness, 7.4. Mental strength, 7.5. Swordsmanship, 6.9. Armed color, 5.1, intermediate. Knowledge, 5.2, intermediate. Conquerors, 4.2, intermediate. Special ability, comprehension heaven-defying. Skills, power of the sun, invulnerability to all waters, retreat from evil beasts, marine 6 styles, 100-meter teleport, stealing hand, charm, navigation max. Combat power, 6.7/Marine Elite Vice Admiral. Elite Vice Admiral. Luffy was surprised. It seemed that teleportation had slightly enhanced his overall combat power. If any abilities are developed in the future, the combat power will inevitably increase dramatically. Of course, integrating crew strength is also a way to increase combat effectiveness. It is worth mentioning that this integration of strength is sustainable. That is to say, Luffy can continue to fuse Nami's stronger strength. The stronger she becomes, the stronger she becomes. If she dies, the fused strength will not disappear. However, this is just an example. It is impossible for Nami to die. Shaking his head, Luffy didn't think much about it. All in all, if Luffy were stronger, if the 100-meter teleport is upgraded, I believe his combat effectiveness will increase dramatically. But Luffy also knows his abilities are always auxiliary. Even if he has more powerful spatial skills, he can't be too confident. Because in this world, mental power and haki are the foundation. The next day, noon. The execution at Marine Branch Square went exceptionally smoothly. Do not know why. The person sent by Sengoku to replace Luffy's execution has not yet arrived. Garp whistles, don't ask me, I don't know. These are not important anyway. Luffy glanced at Menka, who was still staring at death, and then he was surrounded by warm cheers. He himself was not used to this kind of scene, so he glanced at Nami and Zoro and said, "Let's go to the next place. Shields Town, Harbor. Next to the large ship purchased by the Division Marine." "Lord Luffy, are you leaving now? Why don't Master Luffy be our base commander? Can Master Luffy not leave?" The residents gathered around and spoke to Luffy one after another. And when they did this, Luffy really didn't expect it. He said speechlessly, "Everyone, I am a pirate, how can I be the commander of your base? But my grandfather, Monkey D. Garp, made a call. He will come over and settle you down. You will not be trapped in the future. People like Monka managed. Just leave the burden to Garp." Anyway, the old man said on the phone that he would be here tomorrow. He has to leave early, otherwise he won't be able to leave if Garp blocks him. In this case, then we won't keep you. Lord Luffy, sailing is dangerous, so please take care. Minna, everyone, let's prepare all the food for Master Luffy. Okay, fill Lord Luffy's boat. I don't know who mentioned it, but it immediately attracted countless responses. The residents rushed home to stock up on food and delivered it all to Luffy's boat. Yes, the enthusiasm from the people cannot be rejected. Luffy. Nami behind him looked at this scene and couldn't hold back the smile on his face. "Hey Luffy, you may be the most popular pirate among the people." Zoro's mouth twitched. Awesome. It took 20 minutes to carry the supplies, and the small boat was almost full. After a lot of effort, Luffy ran out of the crowd and onto the boat. He was afraid that if the delay continued, he would not be able to leave until tomorrow. "Alright guys, let's set sail." Luffy held Nami's waist and raised his fist towards the sky. "Hey Luffy, did you pull me down?" Zoro below looked at Luffy on the boat and his eyes widened. "Worry, forgot about Zoro." Luffy scratched his head and pointed at the boat they came from. "You sit on that boat and follow the big boat." Clam. Everyone in Zoro was dumbfounded. Didn't you ask me to be your crew member? Why did you get a small boat for me alone? I don't understand. Zoro. You make do with it first. This ship is full of supplies and there is no room left. Just use that small ship to follow. When we get to the next place, I will change the ship for you. Set up a ship for you. Team 1. Luffy explained loudly. Zoro nodded. What else is there to say? The captain is so interesting. There are 3 of us in total, just form a team for me. Nothing to say, he walked straight towards the boat. You're going the wrong way. Nami stood on the boat with her eyes widened. Are you stupid? Luffy, top roadie. Zoro grinned, and the corners of his mouth twitched stiffly. Well, I just want to go over there to find some wine to take with me. Forget it, let's just go. This time, he stared at the position of the boat. Zoro turned over and sat in, picked up the oars with both hands, and made a waiting position for rowing. Brother Swordsman, a little sister, came over with a bag of rice balls and said thanks, thank you for saving me and my mother. I'll give you this to eat on the way. Okay, thank you. Then Zoro took the rice ball and put it in front of him, then looked at it seriously. Is there no wine? Little sister. Chapter 17. I said, is there really nothing wrong with the person you are looking for? On the big ship, Nami looked at Zoro with suspicion. How about I go to the boat and let him come over, she pondered. That's not possible. What if you go and I don't know how to cook? Luffy stopped her for the sake of his stomach. Nami couldn't help but burst into laughter. Are you sure it's for food and not to take advantage of me? As she said that, she glanced sideways at Luffy's arm around her. From just now to now, for more than 10 minutes, this guy has not let go of his hand. Oh, I'm afraid you'll fall. What a fall! The boat hasn't even sailed yet. Then you go get the sail. Are you sorry, Luffy? I'm a girl. Hey, what's wrong with the girl? I'm still the captain, and now the captain orders you to go quickly. Are you a devil? The two played around for a while, and then the ship sailed away from Shield's town harbor. People stood on the shore and waved goodbye. In their eyes, Luffy is a benefactor. Luffy has already thought about where to go next. Naturally, get buggy on Zoro's ship. That guy turned out to be the #1 lucky hacky and one of the 4 emperors. In later generations, when Luffy defeated Kaido and became the 4 emperors with a bounty of 3 billion. That guy's bounty is already 3.189 billion. If such a person can be used by himself, his effect will definitely be no worse than Zoro's. Thinking about it, Luffy decided to stop by buggy before going to Cocoa West Village. FK him. During this journey, Luffy was not idle either. We are carefully teaching Nami to become stronger, starting with Marine 6 styles. At first she was reluctant to learn, but after Luffy introduced her, she became very interested. Now that she is going to sea to be a pirate, who wouldn't want to have the ability to protect herself? Ever since, she started practicing with Luffy without even eating or sleeping. And Luffy has heaven-defying understanding, and can teach her some basics of the 6 styles in the simplest and most direct way. Within a few days, she was able to master some of them. One day, noon. Shave. Sitting on the edge of the boat teaching. Luffy, who was in Zoro's 6-style mental technique, suddenly heard a scream. When he looked back, the orange-haired girl behind him suddenly disappeared from sight. Hey! Luffy's eyes widened suddenly. Have you mastered the basics of shaving? It's so fast. Otherwise, Nami is a top student. Even if her understanding is not at the heaven-defying level, it is still far beyond ordinary people. But before Luffy was even surprised, he suddenly felt wetness on the side of his face. His eyes widened and he saw Nami suddenly appearing, bending down to kiss his cheek. In that moment, Wenruin even licked the side of his face. Before he could recover, Nami over there straightened up, with a smile on his face. Thank you, Luffy, for teaching me such a precious power. Both Zoro Sigma, boy, is this something I can watch? He slowed down on his own and ran behind the big ship. Before, he was naive and used Nami as a crewmate. Now it seems that she is clearly the captain's wife. Disrespectful. Haha, come and catch me, Luffy. On the big ship, Nami, who attacked Luffy with a shave, kept disappearing while giggling. The basics of shaving require physical strength, and as a female thief, Nami has really good physical strength. So with continuous use, it can last for 3 to 2 minutes without any problem. But soon, she paid the price for it. She thought that she had mastered the basics of shaving and could temporarily protect herself from Luffy's offensive. But I didn't expect that she was too naive. Yes. How can the most basic shaving compare to 100-meter teleportation? So just when Nami wanted to tease Luffy and make him greedy but unable to catch her, a sinful big hand held her in his arms without any warning. Nami Epsilon, number? He was stunned for a moment, thinking that he could no longer escape. So, what happens after I catch you? Feeling the big hands on her waist getting stronger and stronger, Nami quickly pressed down on Luffy's chest, biting her lower lip and pushing hard. No, Luffy, I'm not ready yet. What else is needed to prepare? Didn't you ask the king to arrest you? Luffy smiled brightly, wanting to let Nami know how terrible the consequences of her actions were. Seeing that there was no way to escape, Nami panicked and had no choice but to put down her little hand. Then, just like she had lost her first kiss a few days ago, Luffy occupied her pink lips forcefully and domineeringly. In panic, she closed her eyes tightly. My body became as stiff as a stone, and then gradually became limp. Chapter 18. Luffy and Nami are discussing now. It is an import and export trade that has never appeared in the pirate world. At the beginning, Nami was very obscure about this aspect and obviously did not understand this kind of project. But with Luffy's continuous teaching, she gradually understood. You can even take the initiative to communicate with Luffy. The arguments of words continued, and more knowledge was learned. After waiting for more than 10 minutes, she had definitely mastered this ability, and even surpassed the progress of mastering shaving, and learned Grandmaster in one fell swoop. Nami promises that when Luffy discusses this kind of project with her, she will be able to frustrate Luffy speechless. After experiencing this wave of teaching, the relationship between the two warmed up even more. After having lunch, Luffy came to the deck in a cheerful mood and looked at Zoro, who was sleeping soundly behind him. I saw that this guy found a thick rope somewhere and tied his small boat to their big boat. This way, he would not lose track and save time on paddling. When did this guy's brain become so good? After thinking for a while, he teleported and ran to Zoro's boat. In his hand was a few pieces of meat left over from lunch, and a bottle of soju. Luffy. Zoro opened his eyes when he heard the noise, and saw a man in a red vest crouching in front of him. You're almost done with the rice balls. I'll give you lunch. Luffy handed over the wine and meat, and uncorked the wine for him. Thank you, Luffy. Zoro sat up straight, took the wine, and drank heavily. Secondly, he is a good drinker. I heard you say in the past few days that you want to challenge Hawkeye. Luffy simply sat next to him and asked. Zoro drank half the bottle of wine and hissed happily. Yeah, what's the problem? The problem is big, you are no match for Hawkeye now. I know this, but I still have to challenge him. Even if I can't beat him now, I still have to know how big the strength gap between me and him is, and then I will work hard with him as my goal. Hearing Zoro's plan, Luffy smiled appreciatively, but quickly shook his head. If you just want to test your strength, then I should know how big the gap is between you and him. Your current strength can only be said to be the best among swordsmen, while Hawkeye's strength should be that of a top swordsman. The gap between you and him is like a bright star versus a bright moon. To put it bluntly, he can defeat you with a knife. Luffy knew Zoro's character, so he simply told the truth. East Blue is the weakest sea, and Zoro still has too little knowledge. If you stand on your own laurels and fight Hawkeye in his current state, you will only be hacked to death like in the original world. Then he looked up to the sky and screamed, I will never lose again, Pirate King, do you have any objections? Luffy felt speechless just thinking about that scene. Killed me with a knife? Are you kidding me? Zoro was a little shocked and looked at Luffy with wide eyes. You may not believe it, but what I said is absolutely true. Even when he used a knife, he didn't have to use all his strength. Luffy took half the bottle of wine from him, put it in his mouth and drank a few sips, and then began to introduce Hawkeye. Of course, what he introduced was only the early Hawkeye. As for the top swordsman in the later period who had a bounty of 3.59 billion, he did not talk to Zoro. Because he was afraid of hitting the current Zoro. I have given you examples of the gap in swordsmanship, and what you need to improve now is not just these, but also, haki. Haki. Zoro looked at Luffy blankly, obviously a little overwhelmed. Well, that's it, try cutting me with your knife. After speaking, his arms were wrapped in military colors, and the dark arms were brightly reflective. Zoro hesitated when he heard this. As a crew member, how could he kill the captain? But seeing Luffy's look that said, don't worry, you can cut it. He hesitated for a while and then pulled out the long knife. A clang sound. The long knife was thrown to the stern of the ship, but Luffy's arm was not injured at all, and there was not even a trace left. This is haki? Can you teach me? Zoro stared at Luffy with his eyes wide open. Of course I can. I taught you the mental techniques of the 6 postures before. You will understand them slowly. And haki is divided into 3 types, armed color, knowledge color, and conquerors. Ordinary people only have weapons and knowledge, but you, like me, have conquerors. Luffy smiled and introduced the 3 concepts of haki. Since he is the captain of his first team, he must be strong enough to keep up. After more than 3 hours of teaching, Zoro finally understood. It took a year and a half to cultivate haki, and Luffy has already taught him everything he can. Just when he was about to let the excited Zoro explore alone, Nami's shout came from the big ship ahead. Luffy, Zoro, we're in Orange Town. The 2 of them looked over eagerly. Not far from the sea, the outline of an island slowly came into view. Same moment. Orange Town, port. Several pirates standing guard here also discovered the approaching ship. The leader of the pirates put down the telescope and told the people on the side. Go report to Captain Buck.
वीडियोस बनाने हैं, फिल्मोरा है ना?